2026 फार्मूला 1 सीज़न की पहली रेस ख़त्म हो चुकी है एट मेलबर्न ऑस्ट्रेलिया, बट बहुत सारे दिक्कत हो गए हैं. इट वॉज लेस ऑफ अ रेस एंड मोर ऑफ अ बैटल विथ योर ओन कार. वी सॉ 6 DNFs. ओके, वन वॉज अ DNS बाय ऑस्कर पियास्ट्री. बट इतने सारे कार की इश्यूज हो रहे हैं हर ड्राइवर को. एंड टू बी ऑनेस्ट, अ लॉट ऑफ दिस मिडफील्ड टू back end cars are just not up to the pace. They just do not have it in them to actually catch up to the leaders, catch up to the top 4, top 5 and top 6 teams, and that is very sad to see. There are 11 teams this season, so around 4 to 5 teams are just not competitive at all. Like, I don't even think they are gonna score many points like this, because कैसे ही होगा यार. Like, when we see Max Verstappen go from P20 to P6 just slicing his way through, and he himself claimed कि it did not really feel like overtaking. He was just passing them because the other cars were like 2 seconds slower. And we are already 3 seconds slower than last year. So it's a very horrible situation that we have found ourselves in the start of 2026. I hope that as the season goes by, people figure it out, the teams figure it out. I'm not saying कि race boring थी. Race was still good. But obviously, we find it difficult to adapt to change, and even the drivers are having the same issues. Most of them are not really enjoying it. Some are enjoying, but how would you not enjoy when you are actually dominating like Mercedes or Ferrari? But others are really not having it. So इस वीडियो में मैं बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रॉब्लम्स कवर करूँगा जो मैंने खुद नोटिस किए. मैं रेस के नोट्स ले रहा था काफ़ी सारे, एंड आई नोटिस अ लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स दैट नीड टू बी एड्रेस्ड. So this video will be focused on less of a review, more of an analysis of the 2026 Australian Grand Prix and the season opener for the Formula 1 season. So my name is Prajwal, and let's dive into it. The first major problem is कि battery is very unpredictable, and that is making the car very unpredictable. We saw in qualifying कि Max Verstappen's car just spun around. That was not a driver error. It is 100% now कि driver error नहीं था. He just lost the rear axle, and after that there were reports that a software issue actually caused that. तो तुम सोचो यार, यू आर जस्ट गोइंग 250-300 किलोमीटर्स पर आवर एज अ Formula 1 ड्राइवर, एंड you just can't trust your car because either it has happened to you before or other cars are facing similar issues of unreliability. That is the biggest concern I have. कि तुम सोचो यार, लाइक जस्ट इमेजिन, मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा था जब रेस स्टार्ट होने वाली थी ना, तब मुझे लग रहा था कि यार विल कार्स इवन गेट ऑफ द लाइन. Like, I really thought there will be like 4 crashes into turn 1 because cars are unable to get off the line. Thankfully that did not happen. It was almost going to happen with Colapinto, but thankfully नहीं हुआ ऐसा. On the other hand, there are some cars or some teams, I should say, who have amazing battery deployment, like George Russell's Mercedes or Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Just had good starts. Even though Mercedes were having a battery issue at the start of the race, they did not top up their battery, so both the Mercedes drivers started with very low battery, like close to 0, I think they told at the start of the race. That could be the reason behind their rather poor start as compared to Ferrari. But Ferrari हमने बाहर इन टेस्टिंग में भी देख लिया था कि they are just amazing in the race starts. They go so fast in acceleration. Right off race start is just incredible, and that we saw today. Like, Charles Leclerc just sliced his way to P1 by the end of turn 1, and I was just like holding my hand, like, damn, ये क्या हो गया. That is the thing that I want to tell you about, is this battery management thing is very unpredictable, and I would even say it's dangerous, right? It is dangerous in the sense that I'm pretty sure you have heard the term super clipping. If you have not, मैं explain करता हूँ, बहुत simple है. Let's say straight line पे जा रहे हो तुम, you are full on throttle, and you reach 300, 310, 12 जितने भी किलोमीटर्स पर आवर की तुम्हारी टॉप स्पीड है, एंड देन यू आर स्टिल ऑन फुल थ्रॉटल, यू आर ऑन 8th गियर, एंड तुम्हारी कार इन द नेक्स्ट 3 seconds loses like 40 to 50 kilometers per hour while you are still on full throttle. That is what super clipping is. It is basically the battery disconnecting itself to recharge, and that is causing loss of horsepower, that is causing loss of basically electric power, and losing 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. एंड तुम बोलोगे कि यार सेफ्टी लाइट्स तो है ऑब्वियसली कार के पीछे, एंड जब वो 3 ऐसे ब्लिंक करते हैं एट द रियर एंड ऑफ द कार, यू नो दैट द कार अहेड इज रिचार्जिंग. मुझे कंसर्न इस बात का है कि व्हेन 2 cars आर फॉलोइंग ईच अदर एंड ट्राइंग टू ओवरटेक एंड गेटिंग दैट स्लिप स्ट्रीम फॉर द ओवरटेक, एंड द कार अहेड starts super clipping and loses 50 kilometers per hour in the next 2-3 seconds, there is a very high chance that there will be some really bad crashes. कि एटलीस्ट अगर क्रैश भी ना हो it would lead to various front wing damages and I just don't want to see that. मुझे लग रहा था इस रेस में होगा, thankfully नहीं हुआ, probably because a lot of cars are still not competitive to race pace. But as the season goes on and as teams figure it out, develop their cars, get better on this battery thing, they will be more competitive, and being more competitive means they'll go for these long straight slipstreams into overtake, and उसमें बहुत दिक्कत होने वाली है. So this is something I'm very concerned about. The other thing is कि it just does not feel like racing यार. Even the drivers are saying it's more tactical now than pure racing. Like you have to think, oh, should I deploy it here? Should I deploy it on the next turn? Should I deploy it on the straight, or should I deploy it on the corner? It's very weird to see कि what F1 has become right now. I'm not saying it was not enjoyable, but इट्स द फैक्ट कि पूरा जो एक एटमोसफियर बना है इस न्यू रेगुलेशंस के अराउंड, एंड मोस्टली जो एटमोसफियर बनता है वो ड्राइवर्स के कमेंट्स के थ्रू बनता है. दैट हैज़ नॉट बिन गुड. There are like 4 or 5 drivers who are actually enjoying it, but because they are dominating like Mercedes and Ferrari. But on the other hand, a lot of drivers are just not enjoying it. Verstappen is not enjoying it. Lando Norris, the current world champion, is not enjoying it. It just does not feel like racing anymore. So I hope कि again, as the season goes by, they get the feel back of racing in Formula 1. So that was the first issue of battery management जो मुझे तुम्हें बताना था. Next issue ये है, the biggest problem जो आई गेस सारे ड्राइवर्स अग्री कर रहे हैं, मैंने भी देखा था. द कॉमेंटेटर्स वर अग्रीइंग विद इट, द ड्राइवर्स वर अग्रीइंग विद इट, एंड मैं जो देख रहा था पूरी रेस, इवन दैट टाइम आई नोटिस्ड इट कि टायर डिग्रेडेशन बहुत ख़राब है. इट्स लाइक last year McLaren had this unfair advantage of having amazing tire management. They used to run like 5 to 10 laps more on mediums while other cars just could not. That is not the case this year. ऐसा लग रहा है कि they are going through this war and they are just giving up very early. I felt कि जो medium tires की pit window थी, lot of those tires started giving up around 16 laps, and that is not good. Max Verstappen even said around 9 to 10 laps into his new set of mediums that it is very terrible to drive. There's so much graining. So if this is going to be the case, then when are we going to have proper stints to cover off a distance or cover off a difference between two drivers? We saw so many cases where there were tire lockups, there were flat spots on the tires. It was just not a good sign for the start of the season. The final problem I want to address is the problem with handling and downforce. The fact is that these cars are very raw and they are very difficult to drive as well. Is saal downforce is much lower. There is lower drag, but there is also lower downforce. So the car just does not stick to the ground as much as it used to in the last couple of years. So जो corners एकदम flat out, you could go full throttle on those corners, you can no longer do that because the car's just not sticking to the ground enough. So now those corners requires heavy, precise braking, and that is again not good, even though it helps in energy management, but I've already shared the problems of the battery management. Like we saw at the start of the race, Oscar Piastri crashed out. Why? Because when he was coming to the grid to his starting position, his tires were cold, that's fine, that was the same for everyone, but he had like 100 kilowatt more, and that created more torque, and he was not even full throttle, he was less than that, and the car just spun, went to the barrier, and he did not even get to start because of the damage. So this is so unpredictable. Even Max's qualifying crash was so unpredictable. The rear axle gave up, and later found out that it was a software issue and 100% not a driver error. There's all these things that drivers have to adapt to at the same time, and also come up with this battery management strategy, and not something that is helping the sport in any way. And Melbourne as a track is not really the greatest to start for this regulations. Melbourne is a great location to start any season, but from a very technical point of view, this track does not really help with that. I think the cars are just getting so stressed because of all of these things. It just does not feel like racing anymore. It feels more like just conserving yourself and the car and hope for the best finish. अभी तक तो यही लगा है मुझे. Like ठीक है, Ferrari and Mercedes are doing very well, but all of the other cars are, as I said, not really competitive. And if things don't come fast, this will be a very weird season to watch, where there's too much domination on one side and the other sides are even unable to catch up. So yeah, that were the major problems that I wanted to address. The fact that George Russell was able to, you could say, solve all these 4 problems better than others gives him a very well deserved win. He has been dominant yesterday and he was dominant today as well. There was a lot of battle, like in the first 10 to 12 laps until the first VSC of Hadja retiring. There was a lot of battle between Leclerc and George Russell, and that was amazing to watch. But again, यार सिर्फ तुम्हें दो कार्स थोड़ी बैटल करने देखनी है. You want to see the entire field fighting wherever they are comfortable fighting with the machinery that they have. And that it just does not feel like. The fact that Max Verstappen went from P20 to P6 is a testament कि a lot of the cars in the midfield and the rear end are just not really competitive. Like they are, as Max himself said, that it was not exactly overtaking. It felt more like just passing them because they are 2 seconds slower. And we are already 3 seconds slower from last year's car. Last year's qualifying number one lap time by Norris was like 115 something. This year it was 118. So we are like 3 seconds slower already. So I don't know how to feel yet. On one side, I am excited to see the next race and cover a lot of things in the upcoming videos. But on the other side, I am also hopeful that the season does not continue the same way it is continuing. I am hopeful that the other teams figure it out, especially some of my midfield favorites like Williams and Haas. Racing Bulls, I will say a top 5 team right now, leading the midfield. So they are doing well. Again, Arvid Lindblad, he finished P8, I think. On his debut, it was amazing to see. He had a very good race, in my opinion. He was P4 by the end of first lap, which is amazing. He held off Verstappen for a couple of laps. He held off Behrman for a lot of laps, even though both of them were able to pass him by the end of the race. But for a rookie, finishing P8 is just amazing to see. And the Racing Bulls car seems much better than what we saw in Bahrain. And yeah, it was kind of like the perfect weekend for Arvid. So hats off to him. Hopefully he does better in the future. But this is the hopefulness I want to have for every team, that they figure it out and just make the 2026 season better. The next video is going to be more of a basics understanding video. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but I'm pretty sure all of these new fans, especially in India, are going to enjoy this. So stay tuned for that. My name is Prajwal. I hope you like this video. I hope you liked the problems that I stated along with my reasoning behind them. And see you in the next one. Take care. इस रेस में हमने देखा कि कार्लोस साइंस एक्चुअली हैड अ फ्रंट विंग डैमेज एंड दैट टुक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम टू रिप्लेस. व्हाई यू मे थिंक? हुआ ऐसा कि जब लास्ट सीजन तक एक्टिव एरो नहीं था, इट वॉज ओनली द रियर विंग ओपनिंग, जिसे DRS कहते थे, ड्रैग रिडक्शन सिस्टम. तो DRS सिर्फ पीछे खुलता था, देयर वॉज नथिंग ऑन द फ्रंट विंग. इस बार फ्रंट विंग भी खुल रहा है, सो देर आर लॉट ऑफ मोर इलेक्ट्रिकल कनेक्शंस दैट आर गोइंग इन टू द फ्रंट विंग एज वेल. एंड टू एक्चुअली रिप्लेस अ फ्रंट विंग, you have to sever all those connections and get that new front wing and connect them all again. तो जो 10 सेकेंड का पिट स्टॉप होना चाहिए था, वो 15 से 20 सेकेंड ले रहा है अभी to change a front wing. So that is going to be something very weird to see कि यार is it really worth it changing unless and until it's like very damaged, तब तो करना ही पड़ेगा, but it's not helping racing in any way that a repair is taking so long, that did not really take that long in the past, but it's something again we have to adapt to.